City of Ogden. And I'm the chair of this group. So I like to do roll call, but not start at the beginning, start somewhere in the middle. So since it's July, and we'll start with J, and since there's no J's, we'll start with the K's. So if you're here, just say your name and your position and welcome. So we'll start with the first K, which is Kaysville. How about Layton?
Oh, yep, that would be us. Sorry. I'm thinking my first name. Yeah, Brad McElrath, Layton City. Not sure if Weston is on here yet, but he'll join.
Okay. Marriott Slaterville. Mida? North Ogden.
Yeah, Ryan here from North Ogden.
Welcome, Ryan. North Salt Lake.
Mackenzie Johnson here for North Salt Lake. Sherry's in another meeting and Allie Avery's gallivanting across Europe right now. So I'm the only one here for you guys today.
Oh, well, we could just go visit Allie. That'd be fun. From Ogden, again, me, Barton Brierly.
It's Brandon as well, Brandon Rippian.
Yes. Perry. Plain City. Pleasant View.
I'm Andrea Steiniger with Pleasant View.
Welcome, Andrea. Riverdale. Roy. South Ogden.
John Anderson with South Ogden's here.
And Alika Murphy with South Ogden.
Thank you for coming. South Weaver. Sunset. Syracuse.
Howdy, Noah Steele, Syracuse.
Uinta. Washington Terrace.
Yeah, Tom Hanson, City Manager at Washington Terrace.
Good to have you here, Tom. Weber County. West Bountiful. West Haven.
I'm here, Stephen Nelson, Community Development Director.
Thanks for coming. West Point.
Bryn McDonald, Community Development Director.
Thank you. Willard. Woods Cross. UDOT.
Ryan Halverson here with Region 1, UDOT.
Thanks, Ryan. UTA.
Dee Dee Murray with UTA.
All right, welcome. FHWA, anybody? Jory, you want to do WFRC?
I will. Let's see if I can get everybody. Jordan Chandler, Jory Johnner, Hugh Van Wagenen, Lauren Victor, Seamus Gueda, Meg Padgett, Matt Ryan, Josh Reynolds, and we have two interns with WFRC that are joining us today, Cindy Song and Olivia Johnson. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. Unless Tim is Tim, but I don't, there's a generic Tim out there, so I'm not sure. on a phone, so who knows?
Tim is Tim.
See. Tim is Tim. All right, back to you, Barton.
Okay, yes. Well, welcome as an intern. Interns are the best. We had two interns working for us and they were just both spectacular. So
Barton, we just had Sarah Lawless also join.
Okay. Welcome, Sarah. All right, we're gonna go back up to the top of the alphabet. Bountiful. Fox Elder County. Bragg. Brigham City.
Paul Larson, Community and Economic Development Director.
Welcome, Paul. Centerville.
Mike Agate with Centerville City Community Development Director.
Great to have you. Clearfield. Don't speak, Brad. Clinton.
Peter Matson, CD Director.
Thank you, Peter. Davis County.
Hello, David Mitchell, Transportation Planner.
Thank you. Farmington.
Yeah, Shannon Hansel with Farmington Community Development.
Welcome. Far West. Fruit Heights. Harrisville. Hill Air Force Base. And last but not least, Hooper. All right, welcome. Glad everybody could join us today. So just before I jump into the rest of the agenda, I want to point out what's going to happen at the end. Our September 17th meeting is our next meeting. We like to do at least one meeting in person, just get a chance for us to rub shoulders a little bit and maybe have some side conversations or socialize or ask some questions. I think that's been a real value, and to be able to go travel somewhere and kind of see the rest of the world, get out of your little neck of the woods. So we're going to be asking for a volunteer to host our in-person meeting on September 17th. So please think about whether you do that. Maybe if you got a new city hall or a cool old city hall or just a nice community center you could host us in. We'd love to do it. You could go up to Box Elder County, down to North Salt Lake, or anywhere in between. We'd love to have it. So think about that. And the way I do this is I will have us just sit in awkward silence until someone volunteers. So just be prepared for that. All right. So first item here is approval of the April 16th minutes. Do they have a motion to approve the minutes?
Barton, I'll motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. All right, so this is the way that we vote on stuff. If all in favor, stay silent. Anyone opposed, speak up. All right, the minutes are approved. All right, so we're grateful to have Brad McElrath from Layton City going to tell us about all the great things happening in Layton. So turn the time over to you, Brad.
Yeah, thanks, Barton. Hopefully I will not take too much time today on this presentation, but happy to present some exciting things we've got going on in Layton. I feel like a lot of the stuff that we have going on in Layton City aligns well with WFRC goals of centered focused planning. So I'll go over that. But first and foremost, just wanted to kind of give some fun facts or highlights. Our current population, or at least as of the estimate from last year in July, was 84,348. So we are sneaking up on the population of Ogden City. Layton, if you don't know already, is the home of two high schools. You have Layton High and Northridge High School. We also are the home of two hospitals. Holy Cross Hospital, which used to be called Davis Hospital Medical Center for many years. And then a newer hospital, the Intermountain Layton Hospital, which is located just off of Layton Parkway. The main entrance, the south gate for Hill Air Force Base is located in Layton City. There's also an east gate that the city worked with the base on a few years ago to build, and I'll go over that a little bit more in a minute to help facilitate just some defense contractors on the east side of the city. Some other neat things that we have, you can see here in some of the pictures, we've got the Ed Kenley Amphitheater. Has a lot of concerts and movies and different things throughout the summer. So we are pleased to be able to hear that. Our office is really close, so we can hear all the prep work for concerts during the day, which makes things kind of lively around here. We also have Layton Surf and Swim. If people don't know, it's a wave pool, that functions kind of like gives you the oceanish type of experience. And that has actually been around since 1986. Having grown up in Layton and gone to Surf and Swim, I was surprised to learn how old Surf and Swim actually is. But yeah, it's gone through upgrades over the years like you would expect, but really a fun time. And then a few years ago, there was the Layton, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. This is an 80% scale replica of the Vietnam Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. Some interesting facts about that wall is, the one in DC in here, right? It's a replica of that. There's 366 persons who passed away as part of the Vietnam War, who are represented on that wall that are from Utah. And 6 of those 366 were from Layton. And so if you haven't had a chance, it's just located it's part of our Layton Commons Park. It's a really cool thing to go see. And there's also some other monuments that are around it. And the city has a strong desire to represent and support our military families as well as the past and honor those that have sacrificed so much. Another great aspect of Layton City is the Davis Conference Center. There's lots of different events that happen from time to time. I know the APA Utah has hosted a conference there recently in the last 10 years. So some really great things about Layton City. There's a lot more that I could talk about, but wanted to kind of bring up some of those highlights. And then just to give some context or the historical past, Layton City was originally established as an agricultural extension of Kaysville in the 1850s. So you had some people that didn't want to be a part of the block type system in Kaysville, which as planners, I think we all know that the grid system is great. Layton, I guess you could say, was established because people wanted to step away from the grid system. And then railway was introduced in the 1860s. A post office in 1886 was also created, and at that time the city was named after Christopher Layton, who was one of the founding members of the city, as well as a prominent church leader in the area at the time. And then in 1920, the city was formally incorporated, and then we celebrated our centennial in 2020, which was a little bit tricky with the COVID pandemic, but we still did a lot of great things. There was, if you were to go to down in the bottom right corner here, the Layton Heritage Museum. If you were to go to that website, there's a lot of really cool information about the centennial. There's oral histories and a lot of things, and actually the Heritage Museum hosts a lot of things that are not just Layton specific, but are to this surrounding area. So you can learn a lot of history about Clearfield, Layton, Syracuse, as well as Kaysville. So it's really interesting. Some aspects that I found out kind of more so as working with Layton City in the 1940s, just like the other surrounding cities, we had a lot of influence by Hill Air Force Base. But there were some communities that were built during the 1940s that were specifically military housing. You had this Sahara Village, which now there's a mobile home park there today. And then you had this area, Layton Trailer Park, which I think still exists. Actually, no, it doesn't anymore, but there was one there that was also military housing. But the biggest one was this area called Verdeland Park. And as you can see here to this image, this is actually where Layton's Common Park is located. You've got Layton High School here, and this is the layout of that entire subdivision that was built in the 1940s. There's some really cool images in City Hall, which I get to see on a daily basis of how that settlement was. There was an actual school here and everything. So today it's now a civic complex with a park and a high school, but was developed back in the 1940s as a large military housing project for people at Hill Air Force Base. So kind of what I was talking about before, some of the really cool things that we have going on current day is, I think, a lot of stuff that has the benefits from our general plan. Our general plan was adopted, as you can see, in 2019. And I'd say that there's a lot of credit that goes to the previous planners that were here, such as Tim Watkins, who used to work here at the time, and Brandon Rippian, and all the current staff that have produced and put a lot of work into this. There's a lot of good visioning that went into this general plan. And as you can see, it's really centers focused type of growth. And so this is just the future land use map. We're all familiar with those, but in this general plan, Layton City was fairly forward thinking in the fact that we looked at this area here and this area here as some urban districts. And then you have these town centers in different areas strategically located throughout the city. And then you've got some residential that's in between those areas. So trying to look at what the past is and then move forward. And I also identify where we have some business centers located in the city and have those built around. So talking about business centers, this is one that is under development. It continues to grow and get a lot more traction and momentum, which is the Eastgate Business Center. If you're familiar, this is the Sun Hills Golf Course. This area over here is the Davis Landfill. You've also got the Hill Air Force Base Golf Course that's just to the northwest of this. You see South Weber to the full north, and you've got Highway 193 that's along the south area. But as part of the general plan, it calls this out. It has this conceptual plan that's shown for the city to have this area develop in an area that's a research and development park in benefit of Hill Air Force Base. So this is some of the work that's happened in recent years. A lot of credit to our economic development staff that works here, as well as previous staff members and current staff members as well. The city worked with Hill Air Force Base to have this Eastgate entrance actually created. So this is something that hasn't always been there, but it was created so that way these defense contractors that locate here would have greater ease of access onto the base. Some of those contractors are Janicki Industries, Keomac, and then also Northrop Grumman, which is involved with a lot of expansion on this side. So just like a lot of our neighboring cities, there's a huge military influence here in Layton City and to support the mission of Hill Air Force Base. Another area that's called out in our general plan is the West Davis Business Center. So you can see here it showed in 2019 showed a concept of where the West Davis corridor is going to go. That is now in, and we have these roads in place. Layton Parkway has continued and now goes to 2700 West, and the city has been meeting with individuals who are interested in this area as a West Davis Business Center. And there's been a lot of really good work that was done. Utah State a few years ago did just an overall plan of the city, looking at the city from the mountain to the shoreline, and did some great work in identifying what this area could be. So we're pretty excited about that, and in the process of writing some codes for it. Our two urban districts that I mentioned before are historic downtown and also our midtown area. So this is the historic downtown that's really focused around our front runner station, but these are a lot of historic buildings that were built, and you can see in some of the images that were in previous slides. So this was one of the first projects that happened in recent years was the Towns on Main, which is located at Church Street and Main Street. As we've started to have some redevelopment in this urban district. And then another development that's happening is right now this is under construction. It's the Layton Station mixed use project. So it has a lot of commercial along Main Street here. And then you've got an apartment project that's located to the back behind that as well. So a lot of residential that we're introducing. The very first kind of traditional or modern multifamily project was Kay's Crossing that happened a few years ago with the front runner station. So we're starting to see some things really pick up in our urban center. These are some other projects that have happened in recent years. This is the Parkway Apartments that is located in this area. As you can see, it wasn't shown yet. And then you could see also Tanner Clinic, which is located here. You also have Layton Hospital, which is located down here. And then something that's really exciting is this future pedestrian bridge. Have to give a shout out to Joellen Grady in our Parks and Rec office. She's our parks planner and city landscape architect. She's been putting a lot of work towards getting this, getting the funding for this bridge, and we're looking forward to seeing that soon within the next few years. So something really exciting there. And then this is just our Midtown area. It really has a lot of focus on Layton Hills Mall and some other areas. You got the Davis Conference Center located in there as well. But we would like to see this urbanize a whole lot more. And so we're looking at ways to do that. There's a project that's kind of in the process of getting started around this area here, but more so we would like to see some more urbanization of this area. And our code has been written in a way that has encouraged it. We're just not seeing a whole lot of interest yet. So some things that we'd like to explore more to see how we can get more interest here. And then some of our town centers, the biggest thing in our general plan is it calls out infill or redevelopment town centers as well as greenfield town centers. The two greenfield town centers are West Layton Town Center and East Layton Town Center. So those are called out here with 2 green stars. The other infill town centers are with the orange stars. So you've already got some existing development there, but we've started to see a lot of development around, especially around this Gordon Avenue and Fairfield Road Town Center, where we've had townhomes, apartments, and some mixed use going in this area. So seeing a lot of traction there. And then seeing a little bit more traction down here along Oak Hills Drive and Gentile and Fairfield. The West Layton area still hasn't had any development happen yet, but we're looking forward to that in the future. And this is the kind of a conceptual plan that's in our general plan for that area. The road alignment for 2700 is a little bit different than this, but there's been a lot of work done on this over the few years. There's been some political opposition, at least from residents, on getting a code that actually we can implement there. But we still have a lot of high hopes for this area. And there's a lot of demand from our residents to have something of this nature on the west side of the city. And then on the east side of the city is the the Highway 89 and Gordon Town Center. This was a concept also from the general plan. Now that Highway 89 has been completed, this was an area that was used for staging during the Highway 89 project. And so UDOT is in the process of auctioning off this land, and we look forward to seeing the development happen on that. So I'll just highlight this one to kind of close out the presentation, but this is a project that we're actively working on. This is an image from the Gordon Avenue and Highway 89 Town Center Master Plan. That was something that was completed with the help of SOMAS as well as WFRC on this. So this is the concept that we've come to, and we're in the process of writing a code that hits this vision. So we hope to see a grocery store. That's been a huge demand. There's a lot of really great public outreach with this process. Had an open house at the fire station that had over 300 people attend that open house. So really a lot of interest from people in the east side of the city. Some of the things that came out of that was respecting some of the existing neighborhoods with this detached R16, 6,000 square foot lots along the existing neighborhood that's a little bit lower, has larger lots, and then transition up to higher density and some caps that have been placed in here based upon that public feedback. So this is the preferred concept. There's also an alternative concept that maybe if there was a larger grocery store that's put in, what that might look like as well. So that's a lot of the exciting things we've got going on in Layton right now. There's a lot more that I could talk about, but wanted to be respectful of everybody's time, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you very much, Brad. Anybody have questions? All right. Thank you. Really appreciate that presentation. That was great.
Brad, Layton Surf and Swim's almost as old as you, or are you almost as old as Layton Surf and Swim?
Well, I could have been a twinkling in my mom's eye when it was built. I'll put it that way.
Hey, Brad, I have a question.
Yeah.
This is Noah. What about the mall? Any update on that? I think I read somewhere that it was sold.
Yeah, so there's a new ownership group
See a
there.
future.
Yeah, they're actually, they've been doing a lot lately to invest on the inside of the mall. A lot of the fixtures were 20 to 30 years old, and so they're trying to give it a facelift up on the inside. But we've been in constant contact with them. They do have some interest once they've kind of got their feet under them with the existing structure and the inside. They're getting that going the way that they want it to. They're interested in developing it on the periphery of the mall. And so there's been a lot of work and some concepts that have been put together. I know specifically by, Brandon, who used to work here as well, that show what it could look like. And so we're hopeful that we can urbanize around the mall, and still have it be something that's successful. Financially, when it comes down to it, the sales tax that's being generated at the mall and the businesses, some of the analysis that's been done is it's still performing pretty well for a mall in today's market, right? So a lot of times you see a lot of malls go out of business, but it's still hanging on, and we'll see what happens in the future. But yeah, we've got a new owner and actively working with them on plans for the future.
How's the vacancy?
The vacancy, I think, is doing okay. Lon, who is our economic development, who's over our economic development, he could tell you better on the vacancy, but I don't know a percentage. But they're doing okay on turning things over, but it's not, just like any other mall, it's not the mall that it used to be, and so they're trying to I'd say invest more into it, the inside of the structure, so it's more attractive for users and for businesses that they're trying to bring in.
Cool. So no plans for like redevelopment of the whole site yet. Still hoping to just keep the mall going for the foreseeable future.
Right. Yeah. As of right now, like that's their plan as the owner. But as a city, we're definitely open to anything different that might happen there, especially as it being called out as part of our Midtown urban district.
Cool. Thanks.
Yep.
All right. Thank you again, Brad. All right, let's move on to TLC, our favorite program, Upcoming Opportunities and Centers. Matt.
All right, give me a sec just to share my screen here. Okay, does everyone see my presentation?
Yep.
All right, awesome. Well, hey, good afternoon. My name's Matt Ryan. I'm a community planner here at Wasatch Front Regional Council, and I'm just here to talk about the, the upcoming TLC project cycle, as well as a couple unique opportunities with the program itself. So just an update, the Transportation Land Use Connection Program is a technical assistance opportunity that helps, fund planning work throughout our region. And it's a really great tool. We heard with Brad's presentation, it helped with the Gordon 89 project. There's a lot of opportunity with the TLC program. And we've already been talking to folks across the region about potential projects. So I encourage you, if you have an idea that you think might be a good contender, please reach out to us. I think it would be absolutely worth the conversation. And we always love to hear, ideas and workshop it. But also we have a couple of milestones on the horizon too. Just this next month, funding programs will be announced, also calls for letters of intent, and those will be due late September. But if you get into it and you have some questions still, by all means, we're happy to help you, get that letter of intent or project vision where you want it to be. So opportunity number one, centers. Last year, our fall workshops were a big opportunity for neighborhood centers. We saw 71 new neighborhood centers all across our region. And that, provides a great opportunity to do some awesome work, whether it's a small area plan, really, developing a game plan for this node of activity you see in your area, or design plans to influence how this, development will ultimately look, to even ordinance updates to make it, readily implementable and actionable, to an implementation plan to make sure that it actually follows through and gets done. We also have a big emphasis on connectivity this year, large in part because of Senate Bill 195. Cities are now required to identify priority connections to remedy barriers to connectivity, as well as estimate those costs. But also, if you think your community could benefit from increased connectivity, we have a lot of options for you with the TLC program. One such being the active transportation plans that we funded. It's a great way to increase walk, bike share in your community. If you want to look at your transportation system as a whole, transportation master plans are a great way to do that as well. But also small area plans, transportation, and connectivity are a huge, aspect of that as well. And you want to be able to connect these, important destinations to not only nearby residents, but visitors from outside communities and just people throughout the community where you are. And last, studies as well. If you have an idea, you're not sure what the impact might be, or you want to see if the route you have in mind is feasible, we do fund studies as well, just to see, what the given impact would be and whether, this, your ideal alignment will work out in the long run. And also, we have a great resource called the Utah Street Connectivity Guide. I think it's a great informational resource, just, to better understand why street connectivity is so important to our communities. And here's just a few additional resources if you're not familiar. I know most of you are, but we have our transportation land use connection website. That's kind of a great jumping off point to see all the resources we have on our site, as well as the interactive map, which honestly is my favorite because you get to see applications to websites for currently in progress projects to the final plan when the project is complete. And also I included the, paragraph descriptions of this year's awarded projects, just so you can kind of get an idea of what they intend to achieve, how much the budget came out to be, and kind of inspire you if you want to take that leap this year. But that is the rest of my presentation. I'll share a few links in the chat as well, but happy to answer any questions.
Some questions for Matt? Okay, we love your money, Matt. I mean, we.
No, that's very well known. Well, we appreciate your participation. Thanks, bro.
Thanks. Okay, so we're going to switch item 4 and 6 on the agenda. So item number 6 is action on amendment number 4 to the 2023-2055 RTP. So Jory, would you take that away?
All right. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
All right, good. This morning, everybody got to see my notes. So they could read along for at least the first slide. George Honor, Director of Long Range Planning here at WFRC. Amendment number 4 to the 2023 to 2050 RTP. I'm going to briefly just remind you all of the amendment process, provide a high-level overview of the projects in the amendment, and then ask for an action at the end to send this to the Regional Growth Committee. So, reminder, hopefully everybody here knows this, but in case you don't, the RTP is developed on a 4-year cycle. So the last plan was adopted in 2023, but 3 prior amendments make sense here. Has a financial plan and is fiscally constrained. Air quality conformity on applicable controls, goals, and budgets for on-road mobile sources. And then it ties to the future land use plans in the Wasatch Choice Vision. It's divided into 4 phases or 3 phases, each about a decade long, both identifying when a project's needed and then when it's expected to be funding is available between now and 2050. And then should go without saying, but the RTP is the starting place for projects to move forward in prioritization of federal, state, and local funds. So as you guys have seen before, and again, adjustments are needed to this plan. We don't just wait 4 years to update it. These are due to things like funding availability, local state prioritization or needs, modifications to land uses, environmental studies, or just updates to timelines on development of a project. So the amendment does maintain the rigor of our planning process. So we don't just push projects through in our amendment process. We review the financial constraints. We have public input. We do air quality conformity. We work with our partners in local communities. So pretty thorough amendment process. We do have 3 levels of amendment. This amendment only deals with level 3, the full amendment. So not going to cover the first 2, but full amendments include new air quality conformity, 30-day public comment period, review by you all, the RGC TACs and the RGC, and then final approvals by the regional council. We have met with the interagency consultation team, and they've reviewed the project, and we've also met with Federal Highways on the financial constraints, and we have made sure we have a constrained financial plan. I want to show you on the next slide the kind of projects that fit within these categories, just as a reminder. But here you can also see where we're at in the process. So we're partway through, and then you can see kind of down, we're going to go to RGC, 30-day comment period. We'll review those comments, back to RGC, and then to council for final approval. So each of these amendment levels have different types of projects that fit within them and a different part of the process, as you saw in this previous slide. So this one, the amendment number, or level 3 full amendment, are for principal arterials, freeways, and fixed guideway transit projects. So I will first provide a brief highlight of the projects and then kind of review each project in some more detail. So in this amendment number 4, there are 3 projects. The first project's on Legacy Parkway. That's to update the needs, the fiscal constraint phases, the cost, and the lane type. The second project is on I-15 in Box Elder County, and it'll update the needs and fiscally constrained phase. And then the third project is to move a project that is also in that same area in Box Elder County. So I'll kind of cover those in a little bit more detail in the next few slides. So for Legacy Parkway, the current RTP, the 2023 to 2050 RTP, adds a lane in each direction between I-215 on the south end and then US 89 I-15 interchange up in Farmington on the north end. It currently shows that the project's needed in phase 2 and fiscally constrained in phase 3. UDOT has been reviewing this project as part of their SES, or their state environmental study process. And they've assessed that on I-15 Farmington Salt Lake construction project, they've looked at I-15 and they're looking at Legacy kind of right now at the same time. They've concluded that moving Legacy Parkway widening project to phase 1 will provide some significant benefits. So some of those benefits on their at least initial analysis show better traffic flow during the construction of I-15 with the added capacity on Legacy. It'll save about 9 to 12 months of construction time on I-15. They're able to have a little bit more aggressive construction with the additional lanes on Legacy Parkway. The savings of building the Legacy Parkway and having that construction time benefit and other things is about $200 million benefit to the I-15 project. And then it just provides a safer working environment for those working on I-15, because they're able to have a little bit more room and have different working environment there. UDOT has requested that the Legacy Parkway project be moved up to phase 1, like I mentioned. Update the project cost, and you can see that on the screen. It's about a $65 million project. And then finally change the status of the project. It was currently in the RTP as a high occupancy toll road, so an HOT, and they want to put that in as a general purpose lane. The savings of the I-15 project would allow for the Legacy Parkway to be improved or to be implemented, so that $200 million that they're saving, they can take some of that, the $65 million, and put it towards the Legacy Parkway project. And then this project the money would come from the Transportation Investment Fund. And as I mentioned, it's significantly less than what it would cost on I-15 if they had to do maintenance of traffic flow, and things like that, on I-15's construction project. So that's a bit of information, on the Legacy Parkway. The second project, UDOT has requested I-15 widening project in Box Elder County. It's currently RB1 in our current RTP. It's needed in phase 2 and fiscally constrained unfunded. We've moved into phase 1 of the needs and fiscally constrained portion of our plan. Funds have been identified by the Transportation Commission last month, so in June. And this project would replace the need for the Operation Passing Lane project, or RB17, that's currently in phase 1 of the plan. So, and this is just due to the heavy truck traffic in the area, and financially it makes more sense to widen the whole segment of I-15 rather than put in some passing lanes now and then come back in a future year and kind of piece in the widening projects or complete the widening in between those passing lanes. So that's the I-15 project. The project that would be replaced is RB17. So this would be a removal from our plan. They won't be doing both projects. So we just need to get this one out of the plan so it doesn't look like they're going to widen it and then also do passing lanes and operational. So those are the 3 projects in the Amendment 4. As I made mention, we do look at the Wasatch Choice Vision goals, and we do some technical considerations. So here's a fairly busy screen, but let me summarize it a little bit for you. We looked at this on a regional, since most of these projects are on a regional scale. They cover half of a county or a big chunk of a county. We've done most of the technical considerations on this on a county level. The projects in this amendment are safer, or provide safer facilities by reducing conflicts with freight, improve maintenance of traffic during the I-15 construction, and then improve connections to industrial areas in the region. For vehicle hours of travel and access to opportunities, we're showing these benefits here on the screen at the end of phase 1, so 2032 timeframe. The numbers shown, the comparison between the existing RTP and the amendment, so not today's numbers to 2032, it's comparing the RTP to the amendment. And then you can see here that the legacy widening actually improves vehicle hours of travel by decreasing it in Davis County, and then ATO increases significantly, so that ATO is access to opportunity, provides more access to jobs and education. And then benefits in the other areas you can see are fairly negligible. So the I-15 project up in Box Elder County, because it's kind of on the outskirts of our planning area, it doesn't have a lot of impact by moving that widening project forward in our plan. So with that, Barton, entertain any questions, discussion on the amendment, and then hopefully we can get I have some draft language here for recommendation to RGC.
Okay, any questions for Jory on any of these projects?
Jory, this is Gary Myers from Weber County. I've got one for you. How do you, if we're seeing a potential for significant increase in the daily ADTs on that, do you want to know about that now, or do we want to wait till they're actually happening?
On I-15 or on which?
Well, really both, quite honestly. Yeah. Because I'm sure if it's on I-15, it'll affect the instigation of Legacy or West Davis or whatever we're calling it, extending north as well too, right?
Right. Yeah, this is so this is the Legacy Parkway piece in the southern part of Davis. But yeah, I mean, if you have additional information or know of any, we're in the midst of reviewing forecasting and modeling numbers and updating our travel demand model, so we can get that to Bert and his team. Bert, do you have anything to add?
Well, I wasn't quite sure I understood the suggestion or observation. So
it's kind of a unique situation, Bert. We've got potential if all, well, I can bug you guys offline. I don't mean to keep everybody on this discussion. I'll reach out to you guys both.
My contact information will be on the screen in the subsequent presentation. So yeah, if it has to do with like the traffic forecast or the household and job forecast, I'm your contact.
You got it.
Great.
Thanks. Any other questions or discussion?
Don't be a wuss, Chad.
All right, so let's open it up. I'd entertain a motion to approve or a different motion if somebody wants to make it.
Martin, you're the best at awkward silence, man. I don't know how you do it.
Martin, I'll go ahead and make that motion.
Thank you. All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we recommend the Regional Growth Committee review and release level 3 full amendment projects and supporting air quality conformity determination to a 30-day public comment period for amendment number 4 to the 2023-2050 RTP. All in favor, stay silent. Any opposed, speak up. Okay, Jory, that's approved.
All right, one last slide. Just I made mention earlier. We'll go to RGC on the 21st of August. We'll go out for public comment the 22nd. We'll send an email out to both Davis and Box Elder County Councils of Government. So the members within those, just so that they're aware of these projects in their area. Review the public comment after the 22nd of September, take any of those comments back to RGC on the 16th of October, and then hopefully approve this on October 23rd. So appreciate you all, and back to you, Barton.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we will move to item number 5, the 2027-2055 RTP preferred scenario. Julie Bjornstead.
Hi, so I'm Julie Bjornstead, Deputy Director of Long Range Planning here at WFRC. And so moving on from the 2023 RTP to the in progress 2027 RTP, we are going to give you an update of where we are and how we got to the draft preferred scenario. And then we'll follow up to this meeting asking for a review of that draft preferred scenario. So as a reminder, this is an overview of the RTP planning process. We started last summer by exploring concepts, testing some scenarios, gathering input from you all in our fall workshops on new concepts to explore. And we've been working since those workshops to review and analyze those projects. And then from here to May of 2027, when we're expected to have plan adoption, we'll be working to finalize the projects that go into the RTP, phase them based on need, and then finish our financial modeling and prioritize those projects based on financial assumptions. Right now, we're going to focus on that draft preferred scenario I mentioned. And the process to get to the draft preferred scenario started with developing project ideas, running them through a screening process, and we're now ready to get your feedback on that. So where did these project ideas come from? The draft preferred scenario is rooted in the current 2023 to 2050 RTP, including any amendments that have been made since adoption back in May of 2023. We built upon that base of the existing RTP, hearing your ideas and your vision on active transportation, transit, roadway, and land use at those 8 small area workshops that we held in October and November of 2024. And you'll recall that included you all as planning staff, but also engineering, economic development staff, and then elected and appointed officials. And then in addition to those two elements, WFRC staff internally has spent time testing some strategies and seeing how those strategies impact our regional mobility. So this includes additional operational improvements on our mainly our highways, increased street connectivity, as well as a significant expansion of the bus network and the fixed skyway network, and then implementation of the Beehive bikeways. And any of the projects that we kind of tested that aren't in the current RTP, but made significant impacts to travel and mobility were included in this initial list of projects to screen through our project selection process. So you might be wondering, what is that project selection process that I just mentioned? Hopefully you recall this flow chart from a previous presentation. This is the process that we are using to go from all of the ideas that either we internally or you or the public has about what projects and what improvements could be made to our transportation system down to a fiscally constrained RTP. So you'll see that we take the first, that world of concepts, we run them through a preliminary screening. Projects that meet that preliminary screening go to a secondary screening. It's more technical evaluation to determine which projects get included in the vision. And then those projects that have passed the technical evaluation are included in the regional transportation plan, and those that have not, we have a new bucket called exploratory concepts. And then the projects that are included in the regional transportation plan preferred scenario will continue to get phased by need and then fiscally constrained. Right now, we have completed or are in progress of in these steps that are within that burnt sienna squiggle. And so this includes going through the initial set of concepts, going through that preliminary screening, running the other projects through technical evaluation, and now we have a draft preferred scenario. This is what we are looking for your feedback as staff, as planning staff, before the fall workshops, where we'll ask for more input from electeds and appointeds and others. Okay, so the preliminary screening that I mentioned that all projects are going through looked a little different whether it was roadway or transit or an active transportation project. Those projects that were roadway and transit went through a preliminary screening that looked at whether the project advanced shared goals, whether that's the Wasatch Choice Vision goals, your local goals. They were looked at to see if they had partner support from more than just the person who put them on the map. Whether they have been talked about or had any level of planning or analysis of the concept, if it's viable to build a project, if there is significant impact to the community or the environment, and then whether there were meaningful benefits to the system. On the active transportation side, it was a little bit different. Here we are mostly focused on whether those projects expanded the active transportation network, would be more regional in nature, and then really taking a look at the facility types. The facility needs to be a cycle track, a shared use path, a bike lane, or a buffered bike lane to be considered. With other types of routes, sharrows, shared lanes, anything like that, only considered if it was part of a longer route. The projects that were screened through the technical screening on the roadway side, we looked at future volumes that were projected using our travel demand model and impacts to volume to capacity ratios, as well as whether the project was an operational in nature, if it improved safety, if it specifically improved freight mobility, or if it increased street connectivity. On the transit side, we looked at the ridership that was projected on the route and whether it met certain modal thresholds, if it improved access to opportunities, and whether it had that community and transportation partner support. And then on active transportation, we looked at whether those projects overcame barriers, whether they served major destinations, if it created a more safe facility than what exists today, if it had the community and relevant agency support, and whether the facility spacing was considered to avoid sort of regional plan redundancy. So all of the projects have gone through that technical screening, and we would love to hear your feedback on this initial set of this initial draft preferred scenario. So we have an online interactive comment map. On the map that looks like this, you can compare the existing 2023 RTP to that draft 2027 preferred scenario network. You are able to filter by mode. I don't know if you can see my mouse, probably not. Here. And then you are able to, leave your name and organization, email, and your comment. This link will be sent to city planning staff. While we are interested in what the elected and appointed officials have to say right now, because this is a preliminary initial draft, we are interested in your feedback, and we will then take the feedback that we have received from you, do any additional analysis that's needed, and bring out a sort of more final draft to our fall workshops that we're planning this October and September. They're similar in nature to the ones that we've had in the past. So elected and appointed officials will be invited, as well as your planning, engineering, and economic development staff. It's the same 8 small area workshops that we've had in the past. And invitations to these meetings have already gone out. So if you haven't received that, but you were expecting to, let us know. I'm happy to take any questions that you have about the process that we're going through this time around, or the regional transportation plan in general. But you can also contact us. We have new emails, if you were unaware of that. They are our first name, our last name at wfrc.utah.gov. And I'm sure all of you are cringing at the fact that our last names are Bjornstad, Van Wagenen, Dilseel, or Musqueda, and you don't know how to spell those. So you can get in touch with us at longrange@wfrc.utah.gov if you want to talk about something specific to the preferred scenario or anything in general. So yeah, I'm happy to take any questions. And if there aren't any questions, then look for an email from us either later today or early tomorrow with that link to the map.
Any questions for Julie? All right, thanks, Julie. Appreciate it. Look forward to that, making comments on that. All right, we'll now move to household and job forecast feedback process. Josh, is that Josh or Bert or both of you?
Sort of both of us.
All right.
Hey, Barton, how are you doing?
Good.
Cool. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, my name is Bert Granberg, and I lead the analytics group at WFRC. And talking about a project today that sort of co-leading with Josh Reynolds, also in the analytics group. And we're going to talk to you, we're going to kind of preview our process for doing the household and jobs forecast for the RTP. We heard Jory and Julie talk about the RTP, and they sort of alluded to how we put not only where people are going to live and work in the future to work in the planning work, but also in the forecasting of traffic volumes and sort of like the futures of cities in the region. Big change this time is that we're expanding our planning horizon by 5 years. And so our next forecast will be looking at where people are living and working through 2055 on a year-by-year basis. So Josh and I are the main contacts, and I'm going to walk you through sort of an overview of what we do in creating the forecast. I'm going to preview sort of what the engagement opportunity is for you all as cities to provide input into our distribution of future Wasatch fronters up and down the region. And then I also would like to collect your recommended contact information. So when we reach out to get input from you all, that we're hitting as best we can the people who are have the best information and are most interested. Okay, so our goals for this forecast that we generate, again, where people, households, employment by major sector is going to be located in the future, is to use the best tools that we have available, the best input data, the best feedback and professional judgment. And really what we're doing is we're taking the Gardner Policy Institute's county level projections for all of these things and trying to distribute them within the counties at a transportation analysis zone level. So we're providing these projections that are used in the travel model at the TAZ level, but also providing them at what we call a city area, or a kind of a summary forecast that matches up really well with the city boundaries. A goal for sure is to not just surprise you with the results. So we'll do I'll talk about this. We'll do a preliminary forecast, and we'll let you sort of comment on, if you want to, at a TAZ by TAZ level, in terms of how well our forecast matches up with your anticipations for those areas. And as I mentioned, this stuff goes into the travel demand model. It supports the analysis that you just saw for the long range plan for air quality monitoring. And then there's an increasing set of regional performance metrics that we're using this forecast to support. So this is just a real quick slide. You can see the transportation analysis zones with the white boundaries. They're small. They average about a square mile in size across the region, a little bigger in the suburban and exurban areas, a little smaller in the metro centers. They align. We've done a lot of work to get them to align really well to city boundaries. They're not a perfect alignment. That's why we call them city area forecasts when we aggregate the results up from the small zones to the city levels, but they're pretty good. So how do we, how do we get to this forecast? The main component is kind of what you see in the, I don't know, about 2 o'clock in the slide. The real estate market model uses the Urban Sim software to put together a bunch of input data and simulate real estate development across the region, looking to build houses in the right spots, looking to build employment properties, so different types of commercial properties, square feet for offices and industrial, et cetera. And the key inputs to the real estate market model is a large set of current conditions data, including residential housing, where our existing housing is really important. Where we have employment in the region, we partner with the Department of Workforce Services to use their employment data. And then, information about what's envisioned in the future. So we just earlier this year, we compiled as best we could, compiled and standardized general plans from across the region into a seamless layer that the real estate market model uses, and then the just completed and adopted updates to the Wasatch Choice Vision Centers. Both of those combine to give us sort of an expectation for what types of development is going to go where, and the level of intensity that local communities envision for those areas. And then fine print at the bottom, we're constrained to those county level projections. So it's a zero-sum game within each county. If we add development in one place, it kind of have to take it away from other areas. And then we keep this database of what we call, I'm going to use air quotes here, pipeline projects. So these are projects that are in the pipeline, the approval, permitting, near term, very likely to happen. We try to assert those into the model where possible. And then, the output is the preliminary forecast, and we shop that with you all and others, including large landholders, large property owners, and some of the important organizations in the region like MIDA and the Inland Port folks. So that's how we sort of get at this, some specialized software, some really important input data. We could look at it from another context, which is that for the model, we're building a base year with all the existing conditions. Our new base year will be in 2023. We've got those county control projections that sort of give us a target for each county. We've got the future land use that I mentioned, the general plan compilation, and the centers. Thanks for everyone who worked hard to get those updated. They're really important to the forecast and the vision. And then this pipeline development project database that we compile from cities as well as these sort of regionally significant developers. All of this plugs into our modeling and ecosystem. I promise you, I'm not going to go into this slide in detail, but you can kind of see the colored slides are the input data for the real estate market model, and then the model itself with the light blue header. And that pairs on the left side with the travel specific data and the regional travel model, and gets us all sorts of nice, interesting products to support planning and other purposes like our volume map, our air quality analysis, the forecast, etc. One real quick side note, I mean, we've got a real emphasis we've been working on over the years to, like, whenever we're creating a data set that we need, whether it's an input or an output, we're trying to make it more accessible by publishing it in a map form in our map gallery, but then also publishing the data to our data portal. So a lot of what I've talked about, and certainly what we're going to get out of the forecasting process, you'll be able to access in interactive maps and data sets that you can download and use as you see fit. So here's what the process is going to look like. We're finalizing our preliminary regional forecast at the TAZ level. You know, that'll probably go into late August. And then we will put that forecast into an interactive map. We call it the Household and Job Forecast Viewer. It will have the ability to view the data by TAZs, but also at a city area level. It provides easy access to the actual forecast numbers and the graph of the preliminary forecast. And it will have the ability to comment on specific areas by selecting them on the map. We've got one selected here in just west of Hill Air Force Base. Hitting the submit feedback button, and you can tell us whether we've got it too high, too low. Provide some supporting information if you have it. And we can use that, put that into our pipeline process or adjust inputs as needed to try and tune the forecast to better reflect you know, sort of what you all are thinking is going to happen in your communities in the future. One caveat, and that is our modeling is not a crystal ball. We're not going to get it perfect. Our goal is to get a sort of a reasonable balance of all the competing development opportunities in the region, because we don't really know what's going to be done, say, 15 years from now. But we've got to balance out the opportunities and produce a plausible forecast. So we're not always going to match up perfectly with expectations, but we're hoping to get it, you know, as close to what's going to happen as we possibly can without a perfect crystal ball. Okay, this is my last slide. In anticipation of coming to you probably via email and also the next RGC TAC meeting, we'd like to get contacts, like who in your city would you like to make sure that we reach out to invite to review the forecast and provide input. You can drop names, emails into the chat now or email them to me. That would be great. If not, we'll do the best we can to reach out to the right person in each city. We'll have that interactive map with a preliminary forecast. We'll get people's review and feedback either via that interactive map or, you know, if you want to request the data in a GIS format and work on it independently on your own GIS platform and get us back your feedback, that's fine. But we'll take all that input and we'll craft it into our final draft forecast toward the end of the year. We've got November listed here. And we'll start running with that and doing the analysis to support the travel modeling and other analysis for the regional transportation plan. And then, you know, in between finishing up our final draft and the final adoption of the forecast with the RTP, that's in May of 2027, we'll make minor adjustments on an ad hoc basis if and where needed. I did the little calculation. We've got 500, a little bit less than 500 workdays until the next RTP gets adopted. So we're coming to you earlier than we did the past cycle to try and get this feedback earlier. So we've got more time to work with the analysis and tune all the planning products. So I'll leave you with the contacts for Josh and I. And if you have a second, can open up the chat window and tell us who we should be working with. We'll get a few names from you now. And you can also email either of us if you want to think about it a little bit and tell us who your preferred contact is later. I'll stop there and see if anyone has any questions.
And questions for Bert? Okay. If you thought this was summer and you wouldn't have any homework, this is your second homework assignment you're going to take home for you. So
yeah, I will note that we're not going to open this up until people have commented on the preferred transportation project scenario that Julie presented. So, you know, I think the timing should dovetail. So we're not going to like overlap the homework assignments at the same time. But shortly after that window closes in the middle of August, we should be ready and have something to share with you all. And really the forecast, it depends on local input. Some people have really dug into this in the past and given us feedback on every TAZ. And some folks have focused on the ones that they think are going to be the most dynamic in their region. And either approach is great. We try and you know do our best to review and incorporate your feedback. And I think it's a much better forecast because of that.
great. Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next item on our agenda. 2024 UTA onboard survey. Dee Dee.
All right, thank you, Barton. Let me just get my screen up. Let's see. There we go. It's being a little slow. I think it's the afternoon and my computer's tired of working all day. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to present on our 2024 onboard survey. My name is Dee Dee Murray, and I am a strategic planner over at UTA. We conduct onboard surveys every 4 years, and we completed our last round at the end of this year with the finalized report and data set. I want to give you a little bit of background on what the onboard survey is. It serves several purposes. First and foremost, it helps us fulfill federal requirements from the Federal Transit Administration. It's part of their Title VI compliance. So we conduct this every 4 years, as I had mentioned. We did it in 2024. Prior years were 2019, 2015, and I believe this goes all the way back to 2002. Besides the federal reporting that we do, it also helps us understand who our riders are and how they travel. So we gather really valuable demographic profiles and trip information and fare usage in this survey. This survey is a little bit different than like a customer satisfaction survey, where we learn about the customer experience and what they like and don't like about our modes. This one is really focused on who they are and how they travel. So this iteration of the onboard survey was conducted between February and April. This time period was important because school was in session. We did not survey while school was out. Also, I think a nice part of this is that you get a little bit of variability with weather. So a little bit of snow also helps us understand the riders and how they travel. We used the consultant group Resource Systems Group, also known as RSG. They conducted surveys for us for our 2019 and 2015. So it's nice having them. They're very familiar with our area and our services. This time around, we used digital tablets. Nice thing about the digital tablets is that they have real-time geocoding. And we use those tablets on our bus, rail, and on-demand services. Something that's different from prior surveys is that we added on to this. We enhanced our surveying administration. So we included our on-demand service for the first time ever. And we also extended our surveying out to weekends. We collected a relatively small sample size. It was about 2%. But this isn't something that the FTA requires that we do. We just think that it would be really helpful to capture our riders. And we want to, throughout the years, just continue to increase our sample sizes. So there's two types of surveys that fall under the umbrella of the onboard survey. There's the origin destination and the on to off. The origin destination survey, that's where we find out about demographic profiles like age, income, understanding how people get to and from our system, what services they used. The on to off is basically a video that captures people's boarding and alighting patterns from our vehicles. So I want to just go through some highlights from the survey. This is what we collected from respondents, and I also included tables that compare it to the 2019 data. It's really nice doing these every 4 years, just getting the trip patterns over time and being able to compare the two. And as I'd mentioned this morning to the other group, it's unique in that we did have a global pandemic in between 2019 and 2024. So it's interesting to see where ridership patterns have changed and what stayed consistent. So for gender and age, we found that these have remained consistent with 2019. It's a majority of male riders, and the age group, over half of our riders are 34 years or under. In terms of income, most respondents indicated that they earn less than $45,000 per year. So that was at 54% of respondents. And race was consistent. Majority of respondents indicated that they were white Caucasian. The only difference from the 2019 survey is that we found that although over half of respondents indicated that they were white or Caucasian, this is still a decrease from the 2019. The next section is vehicle availability, and this is defined as the number of working vehicles available to the respondent in their household. And we found that overall, 30% of respondents indicated that they do not have a working vehicle. And when I say overall, I mean that respondents from our light rail, front runner, bus, and on demand. So we collected that, and in total, 30% did not have a working vehicle available. This next slide talks about number of transfers and the frequency of use. So we did see a small decrease in the amount of riders who use the system 5 or more days out of the week. And we did find that riders who have to, riders with 0 transfers increased by 5%, which I think is a good indicator. This next slide talks about fare payment. 35% of respondents had indicated that they use an electronic card to pay for their trip. And anything that falls under electronic card, it could be employee or employer sponsored passes, school sponsored passes. All of those fall within the electronic card. Another data point that we found was interesting is that 15% of respondents who were riding on the bus indicated that they used cash to pay for their fare. And this was an increase from 2019. The next slide talks about access and egress modes, and a large majority of respondents indicated that they access and egress transit by walking. So over 80% for access and also over 80% for egress.
Dee Dee, quick question on that last slide, if you don't mind.
Sure.
When it says personal bike, does that include bike share?
No, that is just their personal bike.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the reason why we don't have that category is that there isn't bike share available in all the cities that we surveyed in.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be curious, maybe it's something to add in the future, as the system expands. I know they tie pretty good with the OGX and some of the lines up in Ogden and definitely down in Salt Lake with tracks front runner. I see people all the time.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. I think what's cool about this survey is that you can see how over time we have all these different modes that have emerged, like scooters and bike shares that maybe 10 years ago you just wouldn't have seen. So that would be a great way to get more information. The last two slides, I just wanted to highlight the on-demand, since this was the first time that we surveyed on it. This was all of our VIA vehicles. So those are the vans, the ride hailing service. If folks are not familiar with the on-demand mode, it's a ride hailing van. Some of them are ADA accessible, some aren't, but we do offer that. We surveyed 74 folks in our sample size, and we did it in the following innovative mobility zones: South Davis, Salt Lake City, West Side, South Salt Lake County, and Tooele. And from the surveying, we found that 33% of on-demand riders do not have a working vehicle in their household, and 78% of riders do not have a driver's license. And the other new sample in our on-demand survey, or I'm sorry, onboard survey, was the weekends. And we surveyed on all of our modes, front runner, Saturday only, just because we currently don't have Sunday service. And we found that 23% of weekend respondents had one or more transfers on their journey. And the income was consistent with weekday ridership. So the majority of riders earned less than $45,000 per year. Next steps, as I had mentioned earlier, we do the onboard survey every 4 years. So we anticipate the next one will be in 2028. Thank you so much for letting me present on this. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. That was great information, Dee Dee. Appreciate it. Yes.
I'll make the same comment I made this morning and just let everybody know that the onboard survey that UTA conducts is really important to how we represent transit options and transit behavior in the regional travel model. So like when they're looking at how people connect to transit, walking, park and ride, kiss and ride, bicycle, on both ends of the trip, like that's something that we're looking at the minutia of that and trying to get it right in the regional travel model. So we really appreciate UTA doing this survey. We try to use it as a resource as best we can, and hopefully it means that our travel forecasting is, especially for transit, is that much better.
Thanks, Bert.
All right, we're out to other business. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we are looking for someone to host our September 17th meeting in person. We'd like you to have a room probably to fit at least 50 people and with some AV capacity. And it can be really anybody in the region here. Doesn't have to be a big city, it can be a small city if you're the one man or one woman shop. Brad is volunteering Clearfield,
Spencer did, Barton, if there's not another volunteer, Spencer did hit up Jordan and I in an email and said he had to jump off to another meeting, but Clearfield would be willing to host, but we've held lots of meetings in Clearfield, so if somebody, I'd say, you know, up to you, Barton, if you want to see if there's a different location or if we want to go back to Clearfield.
All right, I'll see if there's any other volunteers. Okay, it looks like we're at Clearfield. Let's see, did they do the presentation the last time? I don't remember.
Let me take a quick look. I have a tracker of local community. Yes, Clearfield did it. 1, 2.
Oh, okay. Here's
three or four meetings ago. So probably
okay.
Brad did the Clearfield one and then he left and did.
All right. Well, we just had a volunteer for Bountiful. So great. We'll do Bountiful.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor, do you have a staff member you want us to reach out to, or do you want to chat with them, or do you want to give it?
Yeah, I'll connect with you guys with the right people.
Thank you.
Okay, great. And I know we did get a community presentation from Bountiful a couple times ago, so I need somebody to do a community presentation at our meeting in Bountiful. Could be someone around there or elsewhere.
Barton, I have a note here, and I'll put Peter on the spot with Clinton. I think he volunteered the last meeting to do the September meeting. So I thought I saw Peter Mattson on here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Another 3 months later might be better, as we'll be closer to the end of our general plan update. So it's kind of,
we could do December if that works.
Yeah, that might be better for us.
Okay.
Okay, back to looking for a new presenter.
Okay. Brad's now volunteering North Salt Lake.
Brad.
Especially since Allie's in.
All right, I'm just this silent assassin. I'm just throwing everybody else out there.
You guys, you will get me fired or make my life HE double hockey sticks from Sherry and Allie if you make us do it this time.
Okay.
Make them do it when they're here.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I
Oh,
jumped
she's
in
here.
here. Hello. Yeah, no, we're not right now with the general plan and all the other things we got going on. We're drowning.
Okay.
Thanks,
All
though.
right.
Thank you, though. We will next year.
But after March, because I'll be on maternity leave and she'll need help. We volunteer for May next year.
Can't wait.
I can, Barton, the list is, here's who's done it from this area: Ogden, Davis County, Syracuse, Brigham City, Farmington, North Ogden, Weber County, Clearfield, Bountiful, Layton, and then we'll have Clinton in December. So if your community was not mentioned there, then feel free to volunteer. That might help narrow it down.
Okay, it's September 17th.
Thanks.
Okay, this is my awkward silence. Somebody volunteer.
Who's not here to defend themselves?
David is, I don't see, is Davis County got an update?
They did it.
Centerville,
How about
Mike?
Centerville?
I'm not ready. Yeah, we've got a contentious general plan issue we're dealing with. Sorry, guys.
Right.
Ooh, bring it to us. We want to weigh in. No.
Okay. Both was down there.
West Point with Bryn. I'm going through the list. Pleasant View, Andrea. Any takers? Washington Terrace, Tom. West Haven. Steven. I don't know what to do, Barton.
We could get out in 20 minutes. Just sit here and
gosh.
talk in silence.
We have a space, but I just don't think it's available that day.
No, no, not for hosting, but for doing a community highlight presentation.
Yeah, like Brad did, just like a 10-minute presentation on what's going on in your community.
Mayor Harris has a better idea. We're getting ice cream and Bountiful before the meeting. As our community highlight.
Absolutely.
Where are we talking, Mayor? Are we talking like Nelson's or what are you thinking?
Blacksmith ice cream on Main Street in Bountiful. Blacksmith.
There we go.
Yeah.
Right. I can do a community presentation for West Haven on the
All right.
17th. That shouldn't be an issue.
All right. Thank you very much, Stephen.
I think it
Saved
should
us
be
all 20.
with ice cream though.
Oh yeah, we're not getting away from the ice cream, so. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. And with that, have a good day, and we'll see you September 17th in Bountiful for ice cream and West Haven presentation and other great stuff. So thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you.